Hi there, Nigel Saunders of KW Bonsai. Today we're going to be working on my North American larch tree. This tree was collected about 10 years ago and it was quite a tall tree. And the first thing I did to the tree was I cut it off at the first branch. And the first branch was pretty well 90 degrees from the trunk. So it looked like an L-shaped tree at first. And then as the tree grew, that first branch started from horizontal and it slowly became more vertical as the tree grew. That branch took over as the new leader. So the tree's never been wired. It's just been pruned with clip and grow techniques. And it's a tree that I've always had and never really done a detailed look at the design of it, and it's never really been styled properly, I guess is the word for it. It's just been kind of growing. So today we're going to look at it. We're going to pick a front for the tree. We're going to try and style it and improve the tree and do some general work to it. So let's get started. So the tree right now is in its fall colors. A lot of the needles are just starting to drop off. You can see them down here. And larches turn from a nice kind of green color all summer, and then the needles slowly go from green to a nice yellow, and finally to kind of a straw colored brown, and they all fall off the tree. So even though the tree is in its glorious fall color, I'm going to take all the needles off it today. We'll just pick them off like this so we can see the structure of the tree and do further work to it. Normally I would wait till all the needles fall off, but I have time today to make a video, so I'm going to do it. So we're going to rush ahead. We're going to remove all these fall colors and get to work on a bare tree. Still removing needles off the tree. We're starting to see more of the structure of the tree, which is what we want to do, to be able to clearly see what's going on with the branches and the trunk line. These needles would probably fall off. A lot of them were falling off already, but within, a week or two, they would be totally gone. Okay, so we've got all the needles stripped off the tree. Larches are kind of nice trees to work on as bonsai because they lose their needles in fall. Unlike a pine tree or a spruce tree, you have to keep green on a pine or a spruce. A larch tree, it loses all its needles, and you can look at the bare structure once a year and do corrective work on it. So they're a really nice tree to use as bonsai. There's the upper structure of the tree. So let's start working on it. The first thing I'm going to do with this tree is I'm going to remove all the moss and the weeds and all these needles. I want to see what's going on with the surface roots, and it may help us pick a front for the tree. It will be certainly a factor. So I'm just stripping off the old moss. This tree will be repotted this coming spring, so we'll do a repot. The pot that it's in now is not a very suitable pot for this tree. It's just one I had that had a chip in it, and it's more of a training pot than anything. Yeah, so we want to see what's going on with the surface roots so we can, make some choices. There's no point picking the best front of the tree based on the branches if the surface roots don't look good in that position either. So you have to get kind of the best of all worlds. You want nice looking surface roots and a nice looking top to the tree. We've got lots of roots in the pot. Under this moss, there's a lot of surface roots growing in the soil. I can remember weeding this tree not too long ago. If only bonsai trees grew like weeds, eh? So we're just going to scrape away some of the surface moss and soil and kind of get a clear view of our roots. Now it has been in this pot for most of the last 10 years, so most of the surface roots will be fairly flat. It should be getting a good root base on it. We'll have to go in and have a look at it. So to see our surface roots clearly, we're going to use a combination of brushing it with a toothbrush and water, and picking off moss and working the soil back with tweezers. We'll use a spray bottle too. Yeah, so that's giving us an idea of what our surface roots are like. So I'll rotate the tree around. This is the front that you previously saw. So we'll just rotate it around. You can see the surface roots. So at the back here, we have a root that was removed long ago and another root that's grown down from up here. It's looking interesting. And we're back to the front. So now we actually have to pick a front for the tree. So this current front that I'm showing you, it has the problem in that the lowest branch comes straight out towards the viewer. So rather than having the trunk in the middle and the branches left and right kind of inviting you in or drawing your eye into the trunk, your eye goes up and bang, there's a branch right there straight towards you. It doesn't encourage your eye to flow up the trunk line. So we can't really use that as the front. So let's look at some other options. It is possible to turn it slightly so this branch, instead of coming straight at you, it's going to the right. From that view, you can keep enough curve to make it work. So that's a good possibility. Here's another possibility. We have the trunk come up, it comes straight towards you and then straight up. It's a little more boring because it doesn't show any movement to the trunk. From this view, the trunk looks like basically straight up and down. If we get over here, it's not a bad front. We're seeing some of our thick roots and our scar down here, which may not necessarily be a bad thing. The branch placement's good from this view. That's another good possibility. So we're just going to mark all these possibilities out with a little stick. So we're going to mark our possible fronts. Our first possibility was right here. Our second possibility was here. There. And our third possibility was here. And let's see if there's any more. I don't really consider this a possibility because the trunk's leaning away from you. It does kind of come back towards you. Let me see what it looks like. I guess it is a possibility. We'll mark it as a possibility. Okay, so I think that's about the 4 possible fronts we can pick. So I'll just show you them once more. Starting with number 1 is here. Number 2 would be here. Number 3 would be here. Number 4 would be here. So now we've got to decide what's going to be the front. Okay, so I've made my decision to the front of the tree, and I'll try and explain why. This is what I've chosen as the front. It was the sort of previous front rotated slightly, so this branch isn't coming straight at you. And I've adjusted the angle of the tree so the top section's more vertical. And it's a nice simple form, and the tree looks fairly balanced in this position. If I rotate it around, I'll just take this out. This front here, it could be the front. This branch is well developed on this side, and this side of the tree is very light. So it looks right heavy. These branches could be developed to balance the tree, but it's kind of a boring front. Everything just goes straight up here in this view. If we go around to this possibility, this view shows a lot of character developing in the tree. But the tree kind of comes up and then goes off to one side and then up again. I'm not really pleased with that trunk line. And if we go way around to the back here, so around the back here, we're showing a lot of character in the roots here, and where a root was cut off here, it's quite, gnarly looking. It's showing this scar where we cut the trunk long ago, that's rolling over and getting quite lumpy and gnarly looking. We got some more gnarls up here. It's kind of probably the view that shows the most rugged features of the tree. However, again, from this position, the trunk, it comes up, it goes away from you, and then goes straight up. It comes slightly towards you here, but it's not a very pleasing trunk line. It's kind of just straight up and down. So that's the reason I've kind of chosen the green as the front. So here's the front of our tree. I'm kind of cutting the pot out of the view so you can kind of see what it'll look like when it gets repotted in spring. The next step we want to do is determine the style for the tree. So you can see it already has a style just from clip and grow. I've styled a lot of the branches to hang down in a drooping pattern, and they kind of come down and then they're coming up at the tips again. So we want to pick a style for the branches. So do we want them to droop down and come up at the tips? That's one possibility. We can have them droop down and stay drooping down, more in a drooping pattern without them coming up the tips. We can't really style it as an upright tree. That's more for deciduous trees. Larches in nature, the branches tend to come more horizontal. So there's a lot of possibilities. The first thing we've got, we'll start with this bottom branch here. It comes out of the trunk. It divides into two main branches, and we have another little branch coming off the bottom here, which would make this branch dividing into two, one out the bottom and one horizontal. So I don't think we really want this branch down lower. It crosses in front of the trunk, and we have a thicker main branch above. So first thing we're going to do is remove that branch. It's okay up higher to have branches that cross in front of the trunk line. You don't want to see a bare trunk line from top to bottom. As the tree gets denser up top, you want some foliage covering the trunk. But down lower, we don't want this one crossing in front of the trunk. So we're going to remove that. Just like so. How's that look? Yeah, it looks better. We also have another branch here that's kind of coming in towards our trunk line that crosses it. I don't think we really want that at all either. I think we want to remove some of this growth that's coming this way and keep our branch growing more to the right hand side. So let's get rid of these branches that are growing this direction. And I think this one too. We've got some upright growth on these branches. I don't think we want that, so we'll remove that. We'll clean up some of these pruning stubs from before. And then I think we'll have to wire the branch down so it droops more. So here we go with wiring the branch. We're going to start from the bottom, come up, and we'll continue our wire out to the tip of this branch, making sure we're working between buds. And this tree, this branch, we'll bring it across here. So now we're going to position our branches. So we're going to bend them downward. You can bend them downwards even more. I do want them to droop down and then come up a little bit. That's not too bad there. I'm fairly happy with that. And we'll go on. So the next branch I'm going to wire is this back one. I'm going to get it bending down lower too. So we'll do that next. I've got the back branch wired, so we're going to position it now. So we're going to continue it bending downward. That's not bad there. You can see from the front, we brought this back branch around so you can see it. And it comes down at an angle and kind of fills that space in a little more there. Now I've also got some wire on this branch here. We'll just give that a little bit of a downward bend also. I think that'll do. It's kind of hanging in front of that back branch a bit. I'm going to have to wire that other part of the back branch, I think. That looks pretty good. So there it is from the front now, right there. Maybe just bring that one up a little. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, the next branch, we've got a back branch here that could be wired down more in this position. So let's do that next. Okay, so I've got this back branch wired up, and we're going to move that into position now. So I'm looking at my front, and I can see bringing it out to the left-hand side more. So we'll do that. Now, I don't want it exactly parallel with this branch. That's not bad there. If you look at it from the front, it comes down at quite an angle, and then I bring it more horizontal. So it doesn't exactly duplicate this branch. I'm just going to check from the top. I just noticed those two branches are kind of right one above the other. I'm going to try and bring this lower one more forward. Yeah, it's better. The two branches aren't overlapping each other. And from the front, I think it looks pretty good too. Okay, I'm going to continue wiring up some of the upper branches, and we'll come back and reposition those. I've got these upper branches wired here. Now I've got one branch that comes straight out at you from the front view here. Well, it doesn't really come straight out, it kind of crosses the trunk a bit. So I think we're going to reposition that. We're going to bring it more to the side. Yeah, that looks better. And then we'll bring this other branch back to the rear more. I've still got some wiring to do on some of these upper branches. I just want to bring them down a little bit. I want my lower branches to droop or hang or cascade quite a bit. And as it gets higher up in the apex, they'll become more horizontal and then finally more vertical, the branches, which is what trees do in nature. I'm going to do some work on the apex, and I've got a shoot out front here. That could be the new apex. It's kind of coming towards the front of the tree nicely. It would give the tree some nice taper. So I think I'll get rid of this whole back apex here, this whole back branch. So if I rotate the tree around, so you can see the trunk line here, and I could replace it with this one. So cutting that out entirely. And then this will grow as the new apex. Okay, here we go. So it's a pretty big cut, but I think it'll be better for the future of the tree. So I'm going to come in here at an angle. I'm going to get rid of this branch first. And maybe this one on the side. So, and then we'll come in and cut that old apex off. I think that's going to be good there. And here we go. It is gone. So let's see how it looks from the front now. There's kind of the front there. Yeah, so it's shortened the tree quite a bit, and it'll give some nice taper up top. Okay, so we got a few more branches to finish wiring, and then that'll probably be it for today. I finished wiring up all the branches, positioning them. They look pretty good, I think. We may make adjustments to them later on. So the next step for this tree will be to repot it in spring. We'll try and pick a nice pot for it, one that's more suitable. And we'll get it potted at a better angle than it is now. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Nigel Saunders of KW Bonsai. We'll see you next time.